Are you ready to get demonetized forever?
Monetize?
No, we're not monetized. I mean, I'm monetized. I can die monetized. But this podcast is about to never be monetized now.
Howdy, everybody. Welcome to the Skeleton Crew podcast. I'm Sardo. That's Stross. Um, and we're finally we're pulling the cord. We're we're talking about the thing. The
Well,
thing that
there are. I guess the best way to put it is before we truly get into it is the two of us, when put together in a space for a long enough timeline, will eventually get to one of our obsessions.
yes.
And it's for the average person, this is incredibly dangerous, and does include horribly unhealthy thoughts, and only unhealthy thoughts.
It's a dangerous combination. We're talking about Koei Tecmo's Samurai Warriors 4. And things are gonna get a little bit out of hand. I'm already sensing it now, but Strauss, you there?
It's time. The floodgates are open.
I so where to begin with this? Do we Strauss, how do you feel about the game Samurai Warriors 4?
Um, I should have come with the number of hours I've put into it as like a number. But I haven't.
But it's a game you've played, right?
I feel like I have logged at least 100+ hours. I think I've
Sounds
played
about
it.
right.
I'm not sure. I don't know if I put in enough hours.
Well, it's never enough.
Or
But
played both of its spin-off titles.
so for those who might not be familiar with the series, Samurai Warriors is a hack and slash sort of game by Koei Tecmo. It is set during the Sengoku Jidai period, and it's about that period in history. But there's that special flourish that Koei adds to its games, and it's not always a great flourish, but it's there. And four is special. Four is the love of my life, personally.
I think 4 is our favorite.
Four is easily the best title in the series by far. Like,
According
no
to
question.
us, and we are the only authority you should ever trust on anything ever.
Oh, please don't tell people that. That's so scary.
I don't. I don't think I've ever told anyone I was the best authority on anything ever in my life.
I think if I give you advice on something, you should do the opposite of it.
Well, I think it depends on. I think that depends on the advice, right?
I guess.
Because if your advice is how to start a skeletal podcast, I think you've been doing a pretty solid job at that. Not a
I'd say
popular.
so.
I didn't say a popular one, just to be abundantly clear.
But we have one that exists.
Yes,
But
and unlike all the other Skeleton Crew podcasts, ours is officially starring supposed skeletons.
we like to back up what it says on the title.
Yeah. And every week on YouTube exclusively, you can see a new exclusive thumbnail because every other single goddamn fucking. Sorry. I get annoyed at the fact that everyone's thumbnails on every platform is different.
It's very frustrating.
I,
And
I don't
I
bother.
feel
I don't ask you to redraw them because it's like they're all different sizes, and I don't know what the sizes are. And at that point, that's just extra work.
I feel very limited as an artist. So Spotify, fuck you. Actually,
It,
no, don't.
it's specifically the RSS feed is the one that
Oh,
that's why we've been using a singular one on the RSS feed and everywhere else.
Spotify, you're cool. RSS feed,
No,
fuck you.
Spotify's not cool. They underpay their artists,
Well,
the music
in
artists
that
specifically.
case,
Fuck you, but for a different reason.
yes.
But in the
But
meantime, I'm just saying. So we do have all the original art is up on YouTube, and eventually will be posted elsewhere. Probably. I don't know.
I have started posting it on my art Twitter. We'll get to that in the
Yeah.
at the end
Sorry,
of
that was
this.
a tangent. It's been bugging me for like 3 weeks now. I'm like, why must you do this to me?
Totally understandable.
Why websites? But we're talking about Samurai Warriors 4, and we're about to have a terrifying amount of opinions are going to be said today. This is your one warning to tell you all that this is gonna be a long one.
It's gonna, but it's good opinions though. I mean, like good in the that I we have positive feelings about the game.
Oh, I wasn't saying that our opinions were unhappy or bad.
But we're about to talk about something we love very, very much. So I
Okay,
guess let's
here's a great way to put it. Remember last week's episode where we talked about Soul Calibur? Okay, now it's gonna get even worse.
yes. Exactly.
The
We are going into it today. So I'm trying to think of a good starting point for this, but I guess Stross, what was your like first experience with the Samurai Warriors franchise? Going back a little bit.
I would say my first exact experience with a lot of things was playing Warriors of Orochi 3, which is the best one.
Yes.
And we say it's the best one because it does a lot of things right, and it has too many characters in all the right ways.
It's very good.
It's very good. We will talk about it at some point, we promise. But, so, I played that. I'm like, I'm now knee deep in this stuff. And so, Samurai Warriors 4 comes out. I'm like, I'm down. And, years later, here we
Here
are.
we are.
Here we are.
And my experience was interesting because 4 was actually the first Samurai Warriors game I played.
It was for
It was
me too, and I guess to explain it, I don't know about you, but I'll say in my case, real quick, is I didn't have a PS2 until about 2006 when I bought one with my own money.
right.
And like that was back when the PS2 was as dirt cheap as possible, and I only bought that for Soul Calibur 3.
The right way to use a PS2.
Well, I mean, buying a PS2 is usually a good investment considering its absurdly large library.
Yes.
A lot of great games on that PS2 right there. But after that, I played. So I didn't grow up with that, and I didn't really play anything else on. It was, I like a lot of people have decided to like expand my horizons, and this is where I went to.
Right.
As for you, why did you never play Samurai Warriors until 4?
Well, the thing was I hadn't really been aware of this series. I got into Dynasty Warriors first. That was my thing. I started with 7, and then I backtracked a little bit and played 6, and the rest is history. But that's not the important thing. I heard kind of in passing about 4, and I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. And you're not going to believe this, Stross. This is going to sound so crazy to you. I saw a screenshot of Hisahide, and it's like, oh, there's a new character in 4. And this looks like a fun guy. I'm going to play this game. So I bought the game, and I played it, and now my brain is ruined.
And so begins our first mention of Hisahide. Don't worry.
The first of many.
We will get to him proper eventually. So, the thing is, I think one of the things that happens when we talk about long-running series of any kind where new characters are added, they add new characters to try to get people on board. And for Sardo, it worked. I didn't look at any of the new characters. I just dived right in. I'm like, well, here we go.
Just plunge straight in.
You looked at the pool to check for rocks. I did not. No, I was like, I don't care if it's in my way. If I die, I die. I didn't.
Well, no, I found the biggest, sharpest rock in the pool, and I jumped specifically towards it.
You saw a rock, and I'm like, finally, a rock I could break my legs on.
Yes.
Time to go head first into this stone.
But I guess 4 was my first because the series really hadn't like crossed my path yet. And like I like Sengoku period stuff. Like I think it's interesting. I was really into Sengoku Basara for a while. And Sengoku Basara makes samurai warriors look restrained and grounded and thoughtful by comparison.
That if you know what we're talking about, that is a terrifying statement. But I think part of it also was that, like, Samurai Warriors 3 was on the Wii.
Yeah.
Like, weirdly, it was on the Wii in a way that I think no one really understood why, other than the Wii was popular at the time. Probably also because I think Dynasty Warriors 6 did not do as well as people wanted it to do.
Right.
This is our one mention of 6, and it will be the only one you're getting.
Yep.
But I think the best way to put it is, we all thought, hey, we both looked at this game and went, I'm going to play that. And then we did. Yeah. So without further ado, let's talk about why we like it. Because we our history is, we played none before this is our first one, and now we're hooked forever.
I mean, for one thing, and this is something that I think most of the Koei games, most of them have in common, looking very hard at you, Dynasty Warriors 9, and frowning deeply.
You had such promise,
is that
child.
they are incredibly playable. They're just, it's just good, dumb fun.
Yeah,
it's such an easy game to just pick up and play and not really think about things.
I feel like that's quite a statement considering what's about to follow after all this simple stuff that we're starting with.
Yes. But it's playable and the gameplay is like it gets you hooked right away. And I think the other thing is that it's the right balance of tone, because 4 in a lot of ways is a very silly game. It's got like characters with big personalities, flamboyant designs, doing absolutely bonkers stuff. And then there are some very, very dark moments that also happen, and it's balanced with like surprising care. And it works out very well.
I think part of the reason why the tone is best in this one, because we've played Dynasty Warriors, we've played other games in these franchises.
Mm-hmm.
And we specifically mean Dynasty Warriors and Samurai Warriors. We're not talking about like their other like licensed work, which is different.
Yes.
Usually better because IP holder is breathing down their neck.
Hyrule Warriors, Fire Emblem Warriors, great games, wonderful games. We're not talking about them.
Yeah, not that they're that all the spin-offs turn out well. You end up being like the Circuit and the Band of the Hawk, which is fine.
Yeah,
it's fine. It's just we ran into a form factor issue. Oh, half our cast is dead halfway through the series. Oops. That one's an oops. A bit of an oopsie doodle there on our decisions here.
But we all want to play his beloved character Griffith, Anyway.
I think I only tried him out once, felt disgusted, and never played him again.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Berserk one day, we promise. Speaking of things we're opinionated on.
Yes. But the mainline Warriors series tend to be I mean it's complicated.
Well, I think the best way to put it is one of the things that's very famous in Dynasty Warriors and Samurai Warriors to a certain extent is the hypothetical routes.
Yes.
Which is basically because of the benefit of the hindsight of history, which, when you have several hundred years or 1,000+ years to look at things, you can be like, well, if you did X here, things would have gone better for you. And so usually what ends up happening is, like, for example, we like Dynasty Warriors 8, and we're going to use it as the example. Every faction has a hypothetical route.
Yes.
Where everything goes perfectly well and they win the day. And at times that shit is very silly. Or
it's
immensely
silly.
It gets immensely silly. Or like something happens like, yes, Yue Ying has just made a fucking flamethrower taking the year 200.
Yeah.
But Samurai Warriors 4, in spite of its inherent goofiness, because, I mean, look at it. Look at all the pretty colors. You are indeed painting with all the colors of the wind, the fire, and the water.
It's a very pretty game.
Earth, wind, and fire.
Yes.
You're a shooting star, no matter who you are.
But it's a very vibrant cast. It's a very flamboyant looking game. But
take one look at Kashosho and you're like, yeah, no shit.
Yes, Samurai Warriors is a very serious historical period piece.
This is a very serious game, and we are taking it very seriously. But really, the key point is 4 is the one without the hypotheticals, so everything happens. Whether you wanted to or not. The closest you get is like 4-2, but that's more of... Well, that's a different...
We'll burn that bridge when we get to it.
We'll get to that bridge some point in this podcast. The point is... 4 decided, you know what? This is what you're getting. You're getting what happened, and all the tragedy that comes with it. And that weirdly, I think, helps in an odd sense. Like, there's no moment of just utter goofiness where... I don't know, Hideyoshi bounces a ball in his head and somehow doesn't invade Korea, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that Samurai Warriors does not cover Hideyoshi's military excursion into Korea. For the better, I would say, because that would be a very, very sticky thing to handle.
Well, it's especially when you sell a lot of your games in Korea.
Yeah. It's like, we're not touching that one.
Everyone agrees that it's a bad idea to touch it for 110 different reasons, mostly because it also makes Hideyoshi look so much worse. And his already not stellar personality is more.
He doesn't need help looking worse.
But anyway, the point is, 4 is kind of the one that we are like, this is our child. We love our child. And unlike 5, this child is good.
It's my favorite baby, golden child, perfect, sparkling, pristine,
covered in filth. The filth is our thoughts.
And we should probably address that a little bit too, because the other thing about the general tone of Samurai Warriors 4 is that it's kind of raunchy.
Well, if you remember our companion episode to this, which was episode, hold on. You'd think I'd remember every episode we do because I edit these things, but I don't remember which episode is which half the time. Our 11th episode, which was about Samurai Warriors 5 specifically.
Yes.
we talked a lot about how 5 was very sterile, very like sexless, very much like modern shonen anime where half the characters don't feel like they ever have a horny thought in their lives until it's important.
It's very, yeah, it's very cleaned up in like not a great way.
Where Samurai Warriors 4 is like, all right, here's where we're gonna get a little sleazy right now. Here comes the sleazy saxophone.
And it creeps into things in like a very surprising way. Because like you have your typical little bit of the odd fan service here and there. It's like, little something for the people who like the women folk. But then there's more.
I think
Um
I think really the best way to like really demonstrate the difference is looking at No in 5 and then going back to what she looked like in 4 and being like, "Oh right, you used to be the sexy one." On purpose.
and she is smoking. She is like you no Hime, my beloved. I love her so much. But
Hmm.
and I think a good point to bring up here too is Chronicles mode in Samurai
Hmm.
Warriors 4. And Stross, uh what is Chronicles mode?
So, okay, the game has the base game of 4 has 2 modes. Mode A is like the history of these factions and what they were kind of sort of doing to a certain degree. And then there's Chronicles mode where you take your player created samurai and go talk to everybody and be their bestest friends forever.
You get to you make your little OC and you make them kiss all the characters. It's a built-in dating sim slash friendship sim, basically.
Depending on the character. Some of these characters you're not dating because I mean, I don't
Because
know. There's someone who wants to do them out there for each and every one of them. Just not all of them.
you get to kiss the adults.
Yeah. You head pat a couple of others.
Yes.
And sometimes you head pat a
But
couple of others because they are adults, but they're very stupid.
and there are some great things that go on in this because you get to talk to each character and get to know them a little better individually. And that's cool. And there's like dialogue options and my favorite thing, which is the revelation that Oda Nobunaga is a drag queen and a really good one at that.
Hmm.
And I love that you encounter this beautiful woman and surprise, it's Nobunaga.
Surprise, I'm much better at this than you are. And you're like, damn.
But it's really good and I think it's a cool way to kind of get to know the cast individually. And we've mentioned it before in previous stuff talking about Koei that it's like one of the pluses of the Warriors games is that there is something for everyone in the cast.
Because these casts are so comically large, you're gonna find someone to attach yourself to. As, this is my scrungly bingus.
And you get to meet all your scrungly binguses and hang out with them.
And there's so
And
many.
it's so cool.
There's like, how many characters are in Sarah Warriors now?
Um, I don't know. Let me ask Google.
There's a lot. Understand, there's over 100 in Dynasty Warriors now, but we knew that.
Yeah, gosh. Let's see. Characters. Okay, how many characters? Over 50 main characters and over 1,000 named NPCs.
Those NPCs don't matter. You usually spend half your time beating them up.
Yes. but we do get about 50 characters in Samurai Warriors. Paltry compared to Dynasty Warriors, but still like quite a few people.
Yeah, I mean, Dynasty Warriors also has like 3 more entries,
Yes.
which is like that's like 50 more characters to add. But the best way to put it is that Samurai Warriors is the one that I think the best way to put it is that Samurai Warriors is the one where, because there's less characters, you get a little bit more time with each of them. Because one of the problems with Dynasty Warriors is that every faction has like 40 people in it.
Yeah.
And some of them don't even do a whole lot in general.
It's very dense.
Well,
So this
I think a really good way to put it, just to give you an idea here, is that we both like Sai Wenji, yeah?
yeah.
We think she's awesome. She
Mhm.
uses a harp to hurt people, which is hilarious.
Great.
And I would say Sarah Warriors doesn't have that, but Motochika comes in here with the shamans and it's like, you rang.
Anyway, here's Wonderwall.
Yeah, here's Wonderwall over here. But, like, I think in 8 she's in, like, 2-way stages the entire game.
Yeah.
And one of them is she's not even playable.
Which sucks.
It does suck. It sucks hard.
But this Samurai Warriors 4 is more intimate, I'll say. It's
Yeah.
definitely more intimate.
Mm-hmm.
So, we've got a lot of characters to pick through. So like let's get down to brass tacks
All
here,
right,
Stu.
everyone. We're about to enter into what we're going to call the brainworm zone.
This is your last chance to
Right.
sign off if you're not ready for
If you're not ready for the horrible things that happens to our brains when we start talking about this long enough, this is your chance to run now. This is your final warning.
I'm about to get real annoying.
To all our friends who already know about this and are like, well, I'm ready to listen to this for the 4th time. Hi guys, Mildew, shout out to you specifically, I guess.
Hey Mildew, hey Kimmy.
Hey guys, you already know what's about to happen, so you're like, yeah, I've already jumped on this ship. Let me put on my pet suit.
Get a drink, get a snack, make yourself comfortable, because yeah, we're gonna dive right in. Stross, who's your favorite Samurai Warriors 4 character?
Well, I think the first thing we should state before we get into this is that for all the gameplay we could talk about, all the story stuff we can talk about, you know what we're here for? It's these technicolored weirdos and their weird personal lives. That's what we're here for. That's why we do this.
Yes.
So now you're into why we're here. All that rambling beforehand? Nah, that's not why we're here. We're here.
This is the core of it.
This is why we're still here. So, apologies now. This is about to get really fucking strange. You're about to learn a lot about us by not choice. But yes, my favorite characters, of course, Kiyomasa. I know you and I
get
know
out.
them. That's a lie.
Get out. Get off the podcast. I am seizing control.
You can't stop me. I'm the one who has the button that says stop and go.
Damn it.
That's not true though. My favorite is, of course, is the beloved Kai, the best girl. But of course, we'll talk more about her proper, and I know who yours is.
Yes.
You want to say it the proper way? This is your chance. I'm letting you do it now.
Matsunaga Hisahide.
It's like watching a Richter scale go up and then down and up again. But yeah, like the real reason why I think both Dynasty Warriors by extension also as well survive to this day is that it hooks its claws into its brain and like, this is your Scrungly Bingus, this is your favorite, You are forever stuck with this idiot until the end of time. We will be on our deathbeds and, like, next to each other with, like, oxygen masks on as we slowly die from some future space plague somewhere near Pluto. And Sardo will be like, hey, Stross, you know who my favorite is? And we'll be doing the entire intro verbatim, like it's today.
Some things will never change.
We're sorry. But they won't.
But no, who's your favorite, Stross?
It's Kai. You know this. You know who my favorite is. You know who I sim for, and you know that I'm forever changed. The world will never be the same.
Well, I know that, but our listeners don't maybe necessarily know that.
Yes.
Why do you like Kai so much?
She can take on a bear. And look good while she does it.
Let's talk a little bit about who Kai is.
Historically, in game or both?
I don't know.
I think we should probably do both.
Yeah, probably both.
Thankfully it doesn't take long. Okay, so Kai is the daughter of a retainer to the Go Hojo clan, I should state, because those are two different things. I have enough brainworms to know the difference.
There is a big difference.
Yeah, one of them got killed, like, after the Mongols invaded, and one of them decided to take on the name to get more prestige.
We love a clout chaser.
Oh, Uejiyasu, you clout chasing son of a whore. But no, the thing is, Kai was a daughter of a retainer, famously, well, supposedly, helped defended her castle during a very well-known siege. And, yeah, that's kind of the only thing she's really famous for. Other than being known as kind of pretty.
Because unfortunately, we don't always have great historical records of women who were alive during that time, because that's just kind of the way the world works.
Especially during a time period where everyone's fighting each other, so things catching on fire goes up by 120%. Like,
yeah.
Nothing increases the chances of records being lost quite like, oops, the castle's on fire. Oh shit, our library's on fire too.
Everything's on fire.
It's all on fire. Shit. Our records. But Kai in game is one of, Okay, so the factions in this game, much like the Three Kingdoms, they're separated into different groups. You have, but this time it's by clan / region, depending on which one, like, Kai's part of the Kanto faction, which is really just the Hojo faction. I don't know why they called it that. It's kind of weird. Follow your own conventions, Koei, please.
But that's the group that kind of, works and fights together and gets kind of massed together. So
they're the family faction, which means we have to now copy one video that we can both think of right now. So you want to just get it out of the way?
Family. It's about family.
Yeah.
Vin Diesel is there.
Vin Diesel's there. He's somehow still in a car despite it being 1592. Family. But yeah, that's the Kanto group. And I think the best way to put it is each faction has their own aesthetic. Each faction has their own sort of characterization. It's kind of the thing that to help speed this stuff along. What do? Everyone kind of falls in line with a certain group message, and for the Kanto group, it's family. Family. Except Kotaro's a juggalo.
Juggalos can be family too.
Yeah, for some reason this guy is.
Sometimes family is a big burly dilf, a girl who wrestles bears, and a juggalo.
And the big burly guy's daughter.
Yes.
who's very sweet.
She's very sweet.
But yeah, that's my favorite. Hisahide got tacked onto the Oda despite the fact that he hates being there, which is probably why you love him so much.
I love it because where the Oda clan is concerned, uh Hisahide is the surly goth teen in the very back seat of the car on a long family road trip, like kicking like the seat in front of him and like complaining that he wants McDonald's and saying how much he hates this family. And I love that for him. And the Oda in general are an interesting group because they're definitely they're dark and edgy, and black and purple is kind of the dominating color scheme.
This is also important. Everyone has their own specific color scheme.
Yeah, they're all sort of color coded. I mean, not everybody applies to the rule, but generally, if you're in the Oda, you're gonna be wearing purple. You're probably gonna be wearing some black.
The
So
only two characters who get away with this is Hideyoshi and Yasu Tokugawa, and we'll get to them because they get their own factions later on, like in real life.
yes,
But like the whole point is, every character faction has a general color scheme idea. Everyone has their own, like the Oda, like the Kanto group is about family. The Takeda is about being smart until Shingen dies and then all the brain cells leave.
they're warrior McFight good.
Yeah, they're Warrior McFight good, and then Shingen's the one who's Warrior McFight good, but smart. Then you have the Uesugi, who are Warrior McFight good, but more family oriented.
And also like a
Mostly
little
because
bit
they're
of
actually related.
like actual family, and also like kind of dysfunctional family a little bit.
If the Hojo is like the ideal, if the Kanto group is this slash Hojo, or like this idyllic sort of like, this is the father, this is the children, this is the weird Uncle Kataro who's doesn't leave. Then the other one is the alcoholic father, his weird sister, her weird son, and his weird best friend. We love all of them.
The Uesugi is kind of full of freaks, and I say that in the most loving way possible.
And then you have basically everyone else. It's tricky because the four is separated really into either region or faction depending on situation.
And then we have the Shimazu gang, who is
The
mostly maroon.
I think the best way to put it. And then there's those weirdos on Kyushu. And we say this also lovingly.
They're jocks.
This is the two sets of jocks who have decided that they're going to argue over whose team is better, but violently.
Yes.
So, an average day in Philadelphia.
It's always sunny in Kyushu.
The only difference is everyone has a sword. I mean, not really, but you get the idea.
So, like Philadelphia, then.
Yeah, kinda. Only it's one side is gonna argue about the Phillies and one side is gonna argue about the Flyers. Or maybe they're just all Flyers fans.
Who knows?
This is your one hockey joke you're getting, everybody. I don't watch hockey, so this is the only one you got.
But you know, and you've got kind of like, there's again a little something for everybody in all of these groups. And then you kind of have like the I don't know, you have a couple of characters that are a little bit unattached to like specific factions. You've got Magoichi, our beloved garbage man.
We'll explain that later.
He's a mercenary. He has a gun.
And he's incredibly trashy. but
And he likes the ladies. The
yeah,
ladies don't really like him back, but he likes the ladies.
this is true. Then you have the two swordsmen of Musashi Miyamoto, who you might have heard of, and then the guy he's
Yes.
famous for fighting, Kojiro Sasaki, who is the swordsman but goth or theater kid.
Tojiro's very scary, and I like him very much.
Yes. And then you
It's like,
have technically Keiji.
yeah, Keiji kind of does his own thing.
Keiji Mieda is technically part of the Oda, but also technically not. He kind of just goes where he wills.
Yeah,
He's a very
he's the cat that drifts between houses, and everybody feeds it. So
yeah. And then you have Akuni, who is the weird one. AKA she's the theater kid.
yeah,
Literally.
Okuni might be some kind of spirit, some kind of like quasi Grim Reaper figure. Who knows?
Did invent Kabuki theater though, so she got that going for her.
Yes, she is the inventor of Kabuki theater. Good for her. Good for her.
Good for her. But
I
really the best way to put it is that each faction, there's characters that we like, which is most of them.
yeah I can only think of like probably one character I do not care for.
And his name
And we
is
already talked about him.
Kiyomasa Kato, who we think is lame and annoying.
He's a dweeb.
And he's a dweeb.
You okay, Stross?
Yes. I decided to really emphasize how dweeby he is.
He is. But the rest of them we like.
So I think the best way we're going to go here from here on out, so this becomes less insane rambling, is we're just going to go over each faction one by one and talk about its characters and why we like them. Also, so this doesn't take 4 hours.
Yeah. Let's start with the Sanada, because
the Sanada.
the Super Sanada brothers.
And their increasingly larger faction per game. Except
Yes.
5, where none of them appeared, which was weird, actually. And weird for reasons that we're gonna get into. And not even, like, positive, like, weird, but also, like, he should show up.
Yeah.
Like,
You would
so,
think.
the Sonata are in 4, cover technically 2 characters. We say technically because one drifts between 2 and one only became playable in the Yukimura spin-off game. We are going to count him in it.
Yes.
Because why not? He's neat. And that
He's
is the Sonata brothers of Yukimura
Mm-hmm.
and Nobuyuki, his older brother. Yukimura is the poster child of Samurai Warriors 4 because he gets kind of the famous last stand moment of the time period and then dies horribly. And everyone's like, he was the truest samurai who ever lived.
And dying horribly was the fashion at the time.
Much like Pong does, sometimes you just have to die in a really spectacular fashion to be remembered forever.
Yes.
And that's what Yukimura did. And he's a very famous warrior because of it. And looks way hotter in Neo than he does here.
He's smoking hot in Neo. Yukimura is unfairly hot there.
Mostly because they made him his proper age of like 45.
Yes.
And gave him a beard. In this one, he's like 20 and...
He's a fresh-faced young lad.
And he's vanilla as fuck.
Though I will say, 4 did something good in that, Yukimura has always kind of been like the stock, like, heroic, sort of hot-blooded, brave fighter. They make him a little stupid in 4.
They decided to do the only truly smart thing ever in the history of anything and decided, what if he was a himbo?
And he's so dumb. It's so good. And then you have his brother Nobuyuki, who is the smart brother, ostensibly.
He's smart by comparison and a good husband, and that's really the best way to put him.
And that's all that matters.
Also, they got Yukimura drunk at one point, and he gets even dumber and silly, and this is good.
He's a very silly boy. I definitely I can kind of take or leave Yukimura for the most part in Samurai Warriors for improved my opinion of
Yeah.
him.
No, I think the best way to put him is I'm not gonna. He's gonna be popular. He's not gonna be my favorite character. He's not gonna be your favorite character, but we appreciate his existence.
He's somebody's favorite character, and that's what matters.
Though we are gonna talk briefly about the 3 other Sonata faction characters that showed up in the Sonata game that they made. There's the Ninja Sasuke. Don't care. Didn't play this game.
He's a twink.
He's a twink. I bet he's probably fun to play as because most of the ninjas in this game are.
Yes.
They added their oldest sister, Lady Muramatsu. She's very cute looking.
She is. Good design.
Yeah. But the real man of the hour is their father.
Yes.
Who finally got his own design after always being kind of not a like unique NPC. Because there is a difference between unique NPC and important and just like a reoccurring one.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a difference between being Chenpu versus being Dong Bai or whatever, where it's like, oh, you were given a design to stand out versus you just always show up.
More
And
distinctive.
Masayuki Sanada is the dad here, and they gave him a hat.
And then they updated him in Spirit of the Sonata, and they made him hot. They made him really hot.
And he had a different hat.
He is smoking.
Yeah, so proving once and for all, sometimes you just have to be, and he's the smartest one of these of all these characters we just mentioned. The point is, these are that's their faction. They also, okay, so this is a question I'm going to ask you: is Kanoichi officially a Sonata or is she more of a Takeda?
That is an excellent question.
You know what? I think we're just going to use her to segue into Shingen because that's the
Good
easiest.
choice.
That's the fastest and easiest way. Because the Sonata were originally a retainer clan to the Takeda clan, and to bridge this gap, there's a character named Kanoichi. She's a ninja. She's like, a lot because
she's kind of a sassy little brat.
She's the little shit character.
Very mean to Kai, which means that they're probably dating.
Or at least exes.
Yes.
She's one of the original characters of the franchise, and she's kind of the big original character from the first game.
Yeah.
Like, most of the characters we're about to mention are, named after real samurai who totally existed. Usually. Kanoichi's just a ninja girl who is part of the spy network that Shingen had. She's kind of a representation of a whole ass group. She's fun. I like her.
Yeah, she's cool.
She's tiny. You can throw her at things.
She's spunky and a little bit mean, and I like that about her.
Yeah. She's kind of a sassy little bitch, and that's why we love her.
Yeah.
And this leads into Shingen Takeda himself. His son, Katsuyori, became a thing in the Sonata game. He's sadly the fail son here, but his major defeat is the reason why the Takeda got absolutely smashed at one point, and not in the fun way.
We get a lot of failed sons here.
We'll tell you about each and every last one of them. But Shingen Takeda, his father, it was one of the best strategists of his time period. And here he's not a super large man. He's more of a wide man.
He's broad.
He's a very wide man who wrestles people.
He's stout. He's Mr. Wide.
And he wears a lot of red armor, and he outdoes people by being smart and then beats them up with his wrestle moves.
And he's also got like a thing going on, this rivalry with Kenshin Uesugi. Because there's gay people and then there's whatever the fuck those two got going on.
Sometimes the gayest thing is to be rivals with another man.
It is.
But without ever it actually being considered gay. Just
Because
the energy
why?
is gay. Just nothing you actually do is gay.
And also in this particular incarnation, he's got a very cool kind of like Oni mask, like a half mask. Looks really
Yeah.
neat.
He's just really cool, and he's a fun character. People like him.
Yes.
Very famous for being neat. And that's sort of the Takeda Sonata factionaire.
Mm-hmm.
The Sonata get a lot more love than Shingen, because really the problem is with a lot of Shingen stuff is you can only fight Kenshin so many times in a game.
Yeah.
They had like 4 battles in the same spot. This is not a joke. This is a real thing that happened. You play like the
And
4th one.
that's what love looks like.
That's what true love truly is. It's fighting one person 50 times in one spot.
Well, why are you, as a man, throwing hands with another man? To touch him? That sounds pretty gay.
But the real key here is he's fun. They're fun. The Sonata are fine. They got more interesting as 4 went on.
They're all right. They're fine.
Yeah.
And I guess since we're talking about Kenshin, maybe we should cover the Uesugi
We
next.
might as well. We might as well just keep segueing into other factions and go through this as fast as we can and as detailed as possible. Or as detailed as we're going to remember. Because, oh lord, the Uesugi, the drunken uncles of this game.
We love our drunkle Kenshin.
Kenshin, who goes around being the baddest of the bad. Well, okay, so actually, this is an interesting thing we get to talk about, because you're the one who played Basara, and I haven't played a lot of
Yes.
Basara. Usually, Kenshin is presented in what way, Sardo?
Um, very, very like Bishonen. A
High fem.
Bishonen devotee of Bishamonten.
Yeah. Usually, Kenshin, for some reason, I don't know why this is exactly a thing, is very femme in a lot of the stuff he appears in.
Because it's either a thing of Kenshin was like a very beautiful, effeminate man, or Kenshin was straight up a woman.
I
But
am going to be contractually obligated to myself not to complain about pop theories on history for the next 2 hours.
yeah, we'll burn that bridge when we get to it in another episode.
Real history is coming. You thought these brainworms were just about fictionalized version of people? Ha ha! You're
You
wrong.
fools.
Fools, all of you. But here, he's just a guy.
Yeah.
He's neat.
Just a dude.
He likes to drink, he likes to fight, and he scowls at all hours.
And he is known as the God of War because he's that good at fighting.
Oh yeah. Everyone loves a guy who's good at swinging a large sword.
And he was also portrayed as one of my favorite dog breeds in Oda Cinnamon Nobunaga, the one where they're all dogs. Kenshin was a borzoi. I thought that was neat.
It is. Joining him. Who do we want to go with next of these next 3 people?
Talk about his sister.
You want to introduce Aya to the world?
Aya, my sweet beloved queen. Aya is fucked up. Aya is scary.
We're not sure what's wrong with her, but it is something.
Um, Aya is like kind of part of this growing trend of like newer Koei women where like they're kind of like soft-spoken and like, outwardly pleasant, but just absolute sadists. Aya takes that up a notch because we had Chunhua in Dynasty Warriors 8, and we have Aya now, and Aya is scary.
I is scary in the sense
Um,
that she'll say something to you that's utterly unhinged. She's the type of girl you meet at a party, like, oh, she's very pretty. She's
yeah, she's beautiful.
she's beautiful, she's pretty, she's soft spoken, and then she says, I want to see the backside of your eyeballs. And you ask, how does one respond to that? You don't.
You just don't. Yeah, this is the girl who like kept her son's baby teeth to make a necklace out of it. She's that type.
Well, now it sounds like I'm thinking about.
But Aya is she's probably the most deranged lady in the entire cast, and I love her very much. She's
She's
so fun.
maybe one of Koei, of the warrior side of Koei, mind you, because we're not going to touch the Tecmo side anytime soon.
Nope.
Not yet. We'll talk about Dead or Alive at some point.
Yes.
But Aya is maybe one of their most unhinged women, period. Like, when you think about it, like, who's more unhinged than her? Wang Yi?
Well, I don't think because like Wang Yi at least has a reason to be upset. And
Exactly.
she's like
That's
and
the
she's focused.
that's the difference. Like, Wang Yi is unhinged, but like she was made unhinged.
Like Wang
Aya's
Yi is
just
traumatized. Aya is just like that.
exactly. Aya's just that person.
She was just born this way. We don't understand.
No one knows why.
And then we have the other Uesugi here. Our sweet boy, Kagekatsu Uesugi, Henshin's adopted son.
And Aya's actual son. You'd think,
Yes,
oh god, he's also fucked up. No, he's the most normal one here. He just doesn't talk much.
he's he's a very sweet kind of like he looks like a bruiser. He's got like this big ass sword. He's got like this like he looks like he was made out of concrete.
I mean, he is a bruiser. Just only on the field of battle.
But but he's actually a very like kind of timid and like well-mannered young man
Yeah.
and is absolutely mortified by his mother.
Like everyone else.
And you can't blame him.
He's a
But there's
large,
that.
kind man. Very family oriented.
He's a sweet boy.
That he is. And then there's one more, and he's the dumbest one here.
Ah, yes.
Our oh, yeah, I'm gonna let you introduce him. You deserve it.
Kanetsugu Naue. The warrior who fights for love.
Literally wears it on his helmet.
Yes, he does have the kanji for love on his helmet.
And it's real too. That's a real thing.
That was a thing that existed. But Kanetsugu he's a golden retriever.
Mm-hmm. It's really the best way to describe him if you think about it.
And Aya is very mean to him.
Mm-hmm. But in a loving way. Which, because this is Aya, is still terrifying.
We fear and respect Aya.
Kanetsugu is just... He's very stupid. He's like, ah, yes, let's do this for the right reasons, and only the right reasons, and we'll never do anything wrong with our lives. Oh god, I've committed a war crime.
Oops.
It's okay, Kanetsugu. There was no war crimes back then.
Free crime was a war crime.
Uh...
Now let's see who else.
Okay, where do we want to go to next? I feel like this is time that we talk about one of our Kyushu idiots.
Yes, let's talk
let's,
about
let's talk about the jocks.
talk about the jocks.
So, Kyushu is one of the interesting parts of this whole excursion because the Sengoku Jidai as a whole is everyone fighting everyone at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Which means, while you have all these main characters over here, you have these other smaller factions on the other side of the country being like, fuck you, no, fuck you, no, fuck you. And then they start slapping each other. And that starts with, of course, the case of the Shimizu and the Tachibana trying to kill each other as violently and as somehow not extra while being extra as possible.
And we love them. They're that era's Hatfields and the McCoys.
The Hatfields and the McCoys are...
And I guess we can talk about the main two since they are a married couple technically. Ginshio Tachibana and Muneshige.
They're married. Their marriage is somehow always strained in every form of media they're in, no matter how much they're depicted as loving. And they're somehow, despite being married, but feel like beards for each other.
They're definitely beards.
Well, this is mostly because Jinchio comes off as like the biggest lesbian in the cast by accident.
I think she's the most butch girl there by a wide margin.
Yeah, like, okay, so we're gonna have to establish something you haven't seen what these characters look like, which is totally fine. I suggest we should have probably said this at the start. Get out a cheat sheet of all the characters so you know who we're talking about.
Yes.
We should have said that, like, 50 minutes ago.
Oops.
Sorry, but she's, by Koei standards, by Warrior standards, she's very butch.
Yeah, she's got like full suit of armor, kind of like shorter hair, big old sword.
If it wasn't for her very nice lips, and like that's like and when we say lips, she got lips.
She's very pretty.
It's not that, and by lip, I mentioned the lips because it's like no other character in the game has like as prominently large lips as she does.
Yeah, she's got some luscious lips.
Yeah. I was gonna say a different thing, and I felt like, no, it's too early to go that crass. Despite the fact that we're over an hour into this one podcast.
I know what you're thinking.
Yeah, if you know, you know. If you don't, congratulations. Stay that way, please.
Proud of you.
We're proud of you for other reasons. And then there's her husband, Muneshige. He's pretty.
He's a guy.
He's a classic like handsome guy. We don't really care much about him.
Yeah. He's just kind of there.
We don't hate him or anything, but I actually, honestly, now that I think about it, a lot of the personality in this whole thing comes from his wife more than anything he really does.
Yes.
At least personality-wise. Which is just really funny. Like here's this whole conflict of four people, and 90% of the personality of it comes on one faction comes from the wife.
Mm-hmm.
She's a good little lesbian, that she is.
She is. We love and support her.
On the other end, we have the Shimazu. Christians. A lot of them. Oh, great, the Christians are here. Specifically, there's Yoshihiro and Toyohisa. Yoshihiro's this older bruiser of a man. He's an older gentleman, very smart. He's the devil. He's the devil Shimazu himself.
He likes cats.
Yeah, he likes cats.
His official art shows him with a bunch of cats.
We think he's neat. And then there's his nephew.
Toyohisa. Poor Toyohisa.
Okay, so Toyohisa, as presented in-game, is young, brash, stupid, and shouts all the time. He is the hot-bloodedest of hot-blooded samurai you're gonna get, and the thing he's most famous for, if you're gonna look him up online, is just note, he is very popular amongst gay men, and there's a lot of porn of him.
Toyohisa is he's fit, he's buff, he's always showing off his arms.
And specifically, he's cute.
He's the kind of boy that was made to wear a jockstrap.
Oh god, this is the fifth time you and I have ended up, when talking about Toyohisa, have mentioned the phrase jockstrap.
It's a very integral part of his character.
Yeah, he is cute jock boy, which means he's just. This one was for the gays. I don't know if Koei Tecmo did that on purpose, but it ended up for the gays anyway.
If that was their goal, they did a great job. They knocked it out of the park.
If it wasn't their goal, they still did a great job because I like him.
Yes,
me
too.
He's kind of like he's described literally in game as an adorable puppy of a person,
and he is,
and it's an accomplishment. But it's just really funny because like looking him up on any image site is like a minefield of it's only a matter of time before you see him in just the jockstrap.
It's like playing Russian roulette but with penises.
All the difference is instead of one being a penis in the chamber of this gay gun, it's all of them, and only one of them is the safe for work one.
A safe for work penis. I've never heard that one before.
I mean, I guess if you're like a medical professional.
Probably.
I mean, I've had to have me checked for hernia. I had to turn my head and cough.
Fair enough. But
and I don't have hernias, and that's important.
Proud of you. Glad for that.
Yeah, me too. But that's the point. These are basically a bunch of jocks. One's older jock. One's a butch goth jock. One of them is the high school quarterback, and one of them is very much the one that all the gay guys want. And they fight against each other until eventually they don't. And then they do. And then they don't again.
And I'm pretty sure their favorite sport is the thing the Voros twins do where they throw a brick back and forth to each other.
Yeah. Anything that involves pumping iron.
Yes.
The other small-ish faction, to just get out of the way real quick, is all the weird shit happening in Shikaku.
Yes.
Which is just, here's Wonderwall, which is Motochika, what's his last name?
Chosokabe.
Thank you. Motochika Chosokabe and whatever the fuck he's up to. He's kind of, despite being in this game for years, since like at least 2, I believe, he's kind of the weird odd man out.
Yeah, he's kind of off doing his own thing. It seems like Sengoku Media is never quite sure what to do with Motochika aesthetics-wise. Like, in Basara, he's a pirate. Here, he's like this visual kei dude with a shamisen.
Still kind of piratey, though.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like a little bit. Just a little bit. Sprinkle a little bit
Good
on there.
design here. I like the high ponytail for
No,
him.
I like his design. He's very neat. He's one of the many Warriors characters with a stupid weapon that isn't really a weapon, but that's okay.
Yes.
But like the problem is with him, for all of his like interesting and like kind of fun personality, they just never know there's just nothing they can do with him because historically Chosokabe just kind of won.
Yeah.
Like he won the island of Shikaku and then but was allied to much bigger players until other stuff happened. We'll get there.
See, he's, as DJ Khaled once said, he's suffering from success.
Yeah. So in 4 they added a new character for him to interact with because they kind of realized he doesn't have a lot to do.
Mm-hmm.
So they added a girl named Kashosho who is dancing to ABBA.
And Kashosho was kind of a polarizing figure when she came out because
Yeah.
she's got like she's very disco.
Very disco. She's got big pink hair. Looks like she's about to not wearing very much. Looks like she's about to go to the club to get laid or do drugs or both at the same time.
Historically, she was one of Motochika's concubines, though allegedly she was apparently much older than him, so a cougar. Gave birth to one of his sons and one of his daughters.
Neat. But yeah, she's kind of his rival in all of this because he needed somebody to argue with, I guess. Like part of the problem is you're gonna notice with the next example we're gonna use is the only other one who doesn't really go up against anyone in specific. Like you have the Shimazu versus the Tachibana, Shingen versus Kenshin, Kenshin and Shingen versus the Hojo versus each other, or Oda Nobunaga against literally everyone who's ever met him.
Yeah.
But Motochika's like, oh, I got Shikaku. Alright, I'm good. And then nothing happens. And you're just like, oh. So instead, here's a disco queen to deal with your rock star bullshit. And she was very popular in the West, not so much in Japan.
Yeah.
The Western fans were like, fuck yeah, give us this weird disco queen with her pink ass hair and insane look. And Japan was like, I don't know.
Not sure about that.
This might be one step too far for us. She's neat. I like her. She's kind of a bitch.
She's very fun.
She's kind of a bitch in the fun way.
Yeah.
Like, she's nice to people she likes. Everyone else, you're getting sassed. The other smaller-ish faction that's important because the person involved is really famous, but they don't do a whole lot, is the Date with Date Masamune.
And Date Masamune is probably like one of the most like recognizable historical figures because like I don't know, you see him in a lot and he's got an eye patch and a really cool helmet.
He might be one of the most famous samurai of all time. Like, he's very famous. If you've seen a samurai with an eye patch and a giant moon on his helmet, that's Date Masamune. He founded the city of Sendai, so that's a major city in Japan, so that's kind of very important.
His mom was allegedly kind of fucked up and evil. Might have had something to do with him losing his eye. Date in Samurai Warriors is he's kind of a brat. He's a little guy.
He's just a little guy.
He's just a little guy.
Just a very angry little guy.
In previous installments, he was kind of portrayed as like being very young.
Quite literally 12 and
yeah.
Okay, so the reason for that, just so we're clear, is by the time Date Masamune is entering the fight me mode, most of the important stuff that happens in this time period has already happened.
Yes.
Like, literally, several key players that cause things to happen are dead by the point he starts doing anything. So he's kind of it's funny that he's so famous because he's the latest latecomer here.
Yeah.
It's kind of hilarious.
His Koei Wiki entry lists his age as 14.
Character ages in these things are just
He does age with the later series, so obviously he doesn't stay 14, but
that's when he first showed up.
yeah.
But the point is, he's a short king who's very angry all the time, yells at everyone, and goes pew 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 pew.
He's got a gun.
And he shows up, and in 4 they gave him his key retainer, Kojiro. Not Kojiro, Kojuro, that's with a U.
Yes.
And he's the Date steward, and he's got glasses.
He's kind of like Date's butler a little bit.
Butler, caretaker, babysitter, smart guy to keep him from doing stupid shit.
Boyfriend, depending on who you're asking.
Not us, honestly. I
don't see it.
I don't see it.
Kojiro Katakura.
Yeah. He's neat. I like him.
Kojiro and Aya don't like each other very much. They are very mean to each other.
There are 2 catty queens going at each other, and it's hilarious.
Yes.
And we like
Kojiro plays the flute.
Yeah. They're neat. Once again, this is the last really small important faction because everyone else here is just more individualized specifics.
Yeah.
Though the Date are usually specifically Masamune is usually somehow associated with the trash man himself, so we might as well just cover him now.
Magoichi Saika.
It represents 3 different people, kinda.
Yes. Because Magoichi was technically a title. It was sort of a passed down title from person to person. So Magoichi was rifleman, mercenary, and here he is a womanizer, or trying to be a womanizer. Not very successful.
He probably is more successful than we think.
Yeah, but he doesn't have a very good track record.
He doesn't have a good track record with any character you care about.
Yeah. But he is the leader of the Saika Renegades, loves freedom and women, and he was hired historically to fight for the Iko Iki to defy Nobunaga. That didn't go well.
It does not. But the point is, it's one of those things where he's one of the early, original characters from the first game. He shows up all the time. He's very trashy.
He's a sleaze bag.
He's a sleazy guy. He's fun. We love him.
We love him a lot.
Because he has a surprising amount of emotional moments. It's very odd.
Yeah, it's like he's kind of a goofy character for a lot of stuff, but he also gets some of the darker moments in the games.
Or the sadder moments. He's kind of the one character that's him being around is kind of the moment when you realize, oh, this stopped being, the fun times a while back.
Jazz music stops.
The jazz stops. The behind the music, negative portrait comes up. He lost all his friends. Everyone he knows is dead. She's the last one left.
Magoichi was having a good time until he wasn't.
And it happens often.
But we love him.
Yeah, we love him. He's fun, and he's usually it's if he's not the butt of a joke, because Koei understands that he's a very trashy man and it's funny. He gets surprisingly sad moments.
He does. He's an ocean and contains multitudes.
Surprisingly. On the other end of the spectrum, we have a completely different character. And I guess we'll just cover sort of the Wanderers real quick because there's only so
Yes.
many of them. This game doesn't have like 20 of them, we promise. We'll start with Musashi and Kojiro because they don't really do a whole lot.
Yeah, they're kind of in the background. They show up occasionally.
They're
Don't do a
neat.
whole lot.
In fact, I don't think they appear in the story mode at all.
I
In
don't think they
4.
do.
They only appear in the Chronicle mode because a lot of their lives happens after the Sengoku period ends in general.
And they were just those two dudes who had beef.
Yeah, they just had beef, fought each other. Koshiro got killed by an oar, according to legend.
Very sad.
It was a sad time for all. Except for Musashi, who did not die, so he was probably pretty cool with it.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I'm not dead, so I'm not going to be that upset about it. They're sword boys. They fight things. They're neat. They're dating, probably.
They're definitely dating.
Then there's Akuni. Oh, Akuni, the founder of Kabuki Theater.
Okuni is interesting.
She lives in your walls.
She like Aya is kind of one of those girls that like absolutely gorgeous, very graceful, very like mysterious. And then she approaches you and she just says something completely unhinged. And then she drifts away. But she's good. We like her.
No, she's good. She's also much like, unlike Maguichi, who does a lot throughout the story, because the Psycho mercenaries actually did a lot of stuff. They just show up from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. That's all you need to know about these two.
That's who she is.
That's who she is. That's who they are. Keiji will just cover with Yoda because that's convenient.
Yeah.
Let's see. Who do we move on to next? I guess we should just start talking about the Oda because that leads to everybody else.
All right.
Here it comes. This is the large faction because it
You
also contains the sub factions that break out further from here.
You might have heard of this guy. Not, didn't really make that much of a name for himself. Little obscure historical figure called Oda Nobunaga. Didn't really do much, just I don't know. Where do you begin with Nobunaga?
Easy. Oda Nobunaga is maybe the most famous samurai of this time period. I think that's fair to say.
Yes. He did a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so he's one of what is known as the three unifiers who helped reunify Japan after the whole oops, we voted too hard on our phones and now the land is split apart. That is that's a video reference for Bill Wurst. You're welcome. I use a vote now on your phones all the time. But here he, instead of being a violent weirdo, is a violent weirdo, but extra weird. Do you want to describe him or should I?
Oda Nobunaga is not like other girls.
Understatement of the century right there.
He's all black suit of armor, big red cape with like this huge pointed collar. Very, very deep voice. With
Goes
this
around cackling like a weirdo.
Very interesting vocal cadence. And you never hear him yell. You never hear him really raise his voice. He's like,
The only time he gets loud in the sense like he needs to tell someone a command, but he's never someone to go like shout at someone.
he's very weirdly composed.
And he is spoopy.
He's very spoopy. And he's he's interesting because he's kind of like, typically a lot of Sengoku Jidai stuff portrays Nobunaga as like the big bad, the evil guy, because historically he did some really not great shit in the name of seeing his vision through.
He was
Um
the perfect example of what happens when somebody decides, why don't I just use incredible violence?
yeah. And he used incredible violence. He killed lots of people. He burned down, I think, at least one temple. Um Lots and lots of people died, and it was Nobunaga's fault.
You know, considering
And
he's claimed to be related to the Taira clan, this temple burning thing is something that happens a lot in our podcast.
I think it runs in the family.
Apparently, it runs in the family. Who would have
But
guessed?
Nobunaga is also interesting because there's other facets of his personality that we get to see. He's got like a real passion for the arts. He loves music and dance. He's, you know, the famous bit with him performing the Atsumori. Um
He's weird.
and he's very much like his own dude. He's so unbothered what other people think of him or his methods, that, you know, it's like, well, you know, you want to destroy me, then try to strike me down, you know? I encourage it. Go ahead.
And yeah, it happens quite a
And
bit.
and we'll get more into that. But there's Nobunaga, who is so interesting. And then you have his wife, Nohime, who we talked about a little bit. Nohime is a severe hottie, for one thing. She is the other half of this evil goth married couple. Was originally betrothed to Nobunaga, and her dad like put through this, like, you know, plan to like kill Nobunaga, and that she would have carried out. She failed, obviously, but there's always this thing of like she's still kind of trying to murder her husband, but like in like a fun way.
Yeah, in a way that might actually just be foreplay for the two of them.
Yes,
Maybe.
maybe. We're not sure. We're afraid to ask.
Yeah. But they're fun. They're both basically the we like your vibe couple, but they mean it, and it's not just creepy.
Yes.
It is weird though.
Because they're weird inherently.
Yeah. The Oda as a faction is kind of just weird. They're the weirdo Gothan theater kids of this group.
They're a gaggle of freaks, and also Mitsuhide.
Who is also a freak, who matches them, but really wished he didn't.
Yes.
Which is a good way to explain your favorite, since we might as well just go into it because we just talked about it.
One Matsunaga Hisahide. My favorite character.
Your paramour in Samurai Wars.
Mi novio.
He's a very silly man.
Matsunaga Hisahide was known historically for being somebody who kind of joined up with Nobunaga's forces, like out of convenience, because they shared a common enemy at the time. And then Hisahide started doing some real sketchy backstabby shit, and he tried several times to defy Nobunaga and to basically betray him, and every time he failed. And eventually, on his last try, Nobunaga's like, "Listen, I'll forgive you if you give me your favorite teapot," because Hisahide was like very talented with making tea and all the accoutrements of that. And and this probably didn't actually happen, but it's funnier if we say it did. Um,
As with most
a
things,
story goes
as the
that
story goes, and it's probably better than what actually happens, so we're going with that one.
yes, but Hisahide took his beloved tea kettle, Hiragumo, that Nobunaga wanted in exchange for his life, and he filled it with dynamite, and he blew himself up with the tea kettle.
Because
And
it's
that
what you
happens
do.
as you do, and that happens here in Samurai Warriors. It's great. It's super cool.
And
Um,
the best part about it is he blows himself up. He makes his big show. He's like, "Fuck you!
that's
I'm
exactly
taking
how
my
he sounds.
own destiny in my hands." He blows up, and nobody's like, "Bitch." Doesn't get affected at all and just walks away.
And and before I talk about like why I really love the dynamic he and Nobunaga have, Matsunagi Hisahide is a freak show. Here in 4, he is Google him. He looks absurd, and I can't even begin to describe. He looks like a spirit Halloween threw up all over him. Uh, he
And
he looks he looks so bad.
he looks so silly. I mean, everyone does, but he looks extra silly. He's not super popular, which is why he's the absolute favorite of one Sardo M. Sardoman.
Yes, that is my name. Don't dox me, Stross. He is my favorite Barbie, and I will chew on its feet until it has only nubs left.
No, until it's sharp and pointy.
That too. But my favorite thing about Hisahide is his relationship with Nobunaga because in 4, um Hisahide and Nobunaga battle first of all, and Hisahide's captured, and you get this cutscene where he's like sitting like with his hands bound in front of Nobunaga, and he's like, kill me now, I defy you, I would, I'd rather die than serve you. And Nobunaga just cuts the ropes holding him, and he goes, this should be fun.
I'm gonna
and
take
and
him home.
and and Hisahide is like, I love the voice acting job because he sounds like he's on the verge of tears. he's he's furious, like, how dare you, I defy you, I defy you, fuck you, fuck you, in the horse you rode in on. And Nobunaga's just like, lol.
You're funny, and it's just so
I
funny.
like you.
Their dynamic is basically a man who hates the other person with a passion, and the other guy who just thinks he's hilarious.
You're silly, I'm keeping you.
Which is also to say the other members of the Oda are not exactly known for their being incredibly normal men. None of
Just
them are none of them are innocent
definitely
men.
not innocent men.
Because
And so,
let's start with
well, go ahead.
let's start with an obvious one. We'll start with Toshie Maeda, the sanest one here, who lives a long time.
Toshie Maeda, known wife guy, known twunk.
Yep, wife guy, twunk, noted weirdo.
Cousin of Keiji Maeda, who was Kabukimono, I believe.
Yeah. Basically, his cousin or nephew, I'm not entirely sure which one it is.
They get kind of confused with them.
I don't know which one it exactly is. The point is they're family. Well, Keiji's the wild one. He's the more normal one.
Yeah.
And that's why we're starting with him. He's normal. We like him. He's neat. He's famously the reason why the Battle of Sekigahara happens, because he died. The one thing keeping the land together for like a brief year is one guy, because he had seniority. Everyone's like, oh, I can't do it while Toshie is alive. That would just be mean.
Yeah, that's just cruel.
Wait, he's dead? Oh, well, fuck that. Fuck. He's a very important retainer to several very key to two of the three unifiers, and he's neat. We like him.
He's a sweet boy.
His mentor is one Katsui Shibata, who is both dad and mom.
He's a very sad man.
He's a sad man, and he wishes to be anywhere else but here. He just wants to be sitting at home, crocheting some tea cozies.
Depression be damned, though. My man can work a grill.
Damn straight. We also think he's neat.
We do.
He also has like a voice that sounds like it hurts to talk like.
Yes.
Like if sandpaper was a voice and Japanese.
It's very gravelly.
Oh yeah, this game the Samurai Warriors games don't get dubs, by the way. So don't ask us about the dub. The only one that got dubbed was 3.
But the Japanese voice cast is magnificent, so.
Yes.
And I guess while we're talking about backstabbers, let's talk about one Akechi Mitsuhide.
Akechi Mitsuhide, proving that anyone named Akechi in things is usually a traitor son of a bitch.
Here, Mitsuhide's like kind of the one normal one of the group.
Yeah, it's like, I'm just here for the aesthetic.
He's just a dad.
Yeah, he's just a normal dad. He just wants the bad stuff to stop happening, and bad stuff keeps happening. And then he decides to betray Nobunaga, and it doesn't really work out well in the grand scheme of things.
Work out well for anybody. He's very pleasant, very like straight-laced and like polite, and like you kind of wonder, it's like, why the hell are you here?
And the thing is, he's like the only one who uses a normal katana. Like, he's the most like normal person in this entire game. And normally that would mean we don't like him in any or we just kind of ignore him. But the point is, he's the normal one surrounded by all these fucking freaks. So
And he's funny because he's so incredibly like nice.
Yeah.
And decent.
So when he betrays Nobunaga, it's kind of a surprise.
But you can't really blame him either, because like we see Nobunaga getting like worse and worse and like more violent.
Which is kind of his thing.
Yeah. That's what he does.
Yeah. But he's fun. He has a daughter named... Okay, so I'm not sure if it's Gracia or Gracia. We're not sure.
You hear a little bit of both.
Yeah. It might be both, which is the
Yeah.
difficult part. We like her too. She's a precious little angel, and Koei stopped putting her in sexy outfits.
And thank God for that. Please, like, stop putting her in sexy outfits, Koei. You know.
You put her in cute outfits, though. You put her in a swimsuit, that's fine. She's old enough to wear a swimsuit. And we can be like, look, there goes our daughter. She's going to the swimming hole.
But, like, don't like, the devil outfit. Hisahide should be wearing that. That fits him.
Now, you put it on No, we're going to be like, thank you.
Yes.
That's worth it.
Keep putting No in sexy outfits.
She dresses sexy to begin with. You can keep doing that. She purposely does it. She's allowed to be sexy. Gracia, too young. Sweetheart, though.
She's baby. Leave her alone.
She has Christian magic powers.
She has the power of God and anime on her side.
That's not a joke. That's what she does. She uses magic Christ powers.
Historically, she was known for having converted to Christianity, and yes, she shoots laser beams out of her hands in the game.
Is this offensive? Probably. Do we care? No.
It's interesting.
On the other end of the spectrum, let's see, is there any other Oda retainers we need to discuss? Oh yeah, there is one, and we missed a very obvious and clear, easy one. Shorts McGee.
Ah, yes, take me away, little shorts.
Famously, Nobunaga had a page boy named Mori Ranmaru. He was a young lad of 18 when Hinochi happened, which means he died. Famously so. Once again, if you die coolly, you get remembered forever. So if you're gonna...
So that's the goal.
So remember, folks, if you want to be remembered forever in history, die in a really sick ass fashion for your lord, and usually people are pretty down with that.
Do like a skateboard trick or something.
Yeah, die doing the sickest kickflip of all time.
But Ranmaru is unhealthily devoted to Nobunaga.
I mean, he died in service of his lord, so he didn't live long enough to have much more of a personality in his adult life.
But he's cute. He's cute.
He's a cute boy who does cute things. Very femme. Very. He's the ultimate, like, this is a cute boy.
Often mistaken for a girl, much to his
pretty.
chagrin.
Despite the fact that he wears very obviously shorts. You'd think people would use the pants rule here, but, you know.
Apparently not.
Yeah, not when you're that pretty.
Yeah.
But, you know, he's a very liked character. He's popular. We like him. He's adorable.
Yes. He's a cute boy.
We believe in putting him in progressively tighter and shorter shorts.
Who wears short shorts?
He does. And they get shorter per entry. In fact, the shorts is a huge part of his design by, like, purpose. Like, quite literally, they have stated, the character design team basically went, no.
It's a feature, not a bug.
It is very much a feature. That's all the Oda people who don't get their own fashion. So we're gonna briefly go through those two guys. We'll start with Rat Boy.
But historically known for being called a bald rat by Oda Nobunaga.
In a letter to his wife, not Nobunaga's wife, to Hideyoshi's wife, he stated, "Nene, your husband's a bald rat. You deserve better." And yeah,
Toyotomi Hideyoshi started out life as a peasant. He was dirt poor and had absolutely nothing, and hitched his wagon to the Oda.
Which was incredibly good idea, because he would eventually rise to become literally the most powerful man in the country.
Yeah.
Honestly, very good wagon hitching. Maybe
like A+ wagon hitching.
Maybe history's best wagon hitcher. Like, ever. Like that like go from literally like piss poor peasant to most powerful man in the country. I don't know how many people can claim they actually did that.
We love to see a king prosper. Unfortunately, while Hideyoshi is a short king, he's not much of a king.
No, he's not. He's friends with Magoichi, which means he makes bad choices.
Yes. Samurai Warriors Hideyoshi is very fond of women who he is not married to.
Which is insane, because he's married to like a 10.
It's like Nene, who's like beautiful and kind and loving.
Got big boobs, even. Like,
it's like, you know what?
What more?
Your wife looks like that. What more can you ask for?
A helicopter. But those haven't been invented yet. And that's the sad part.
But
and she's a ninja. She's a ninja too in this.
And she's cool, but Hideyoshi's kind of a scumbag. Like he's
sleazy. He's a dirtbag.
He's fun, and he's like spirited, and he's like ambitious, but he's also a dirtbag.
He's also a monkey.
He is a monkey.
He's a monkey. He's based after Sun Wukong, which in Warriors Orochi, which Sun Wukong shows up, it's usually played for jokes.
Yes.
They make the jokes like, huh? Whoever goes, well, I see then.
Monkey.
Monkey. He's fun. We like him. We also, he's the character we love and slander a lot. Much like Magoichi, we make fun of him a lot, but it's out of love.
It is. It's affectionate roasting.
Yeah.
But we genuinely very much love his wife, Nene, who is perfect and has never done anything wrong ever in her life.
She is mom, and she is good mom.
best mom.
Yeah. She's a good mom and everyone loves her.
So you got that, and you've got kind of Hideyoshi's main three boys that work beneath him. Mitsunari Ishida is probably the most well-known one. Very popular with the fandom.
Very
Um,
popular, very pretty, autistic as hell.
I was gonna say, yes, he is an autistic king. Represent. He's he is a mean, cynical bastard, and I do enjoy that about him.
We do like him. He's just very, very popular and gets a lot of exposure, and people complain about him not getting enough exposure, which we're just like, excuse you.
It's like, pardon me for being a bitter Betty, but
But yeah, we think he's neat. He's not our favorite,
yeah,
but we think he's neat.
he calls everybody idiots.
In fairness,
Just
considering
sticking
the
the
two
bar.
people he's usually associated with and the two people he usually feuds with, he is by far the smartest of all five of them by a very
Yes.
wide margin. When you're like best friends with Yukimura and Kanetsugu, yeah, they're dumb. They're very
And,
dumb. And when you're feuding with Kiyomasa and Masanori, who are also very dumb.
but Masanori we love
Yeah,
because Masanori's like he's got kind of like the delinquent look going.
they specifically designed him like a classic delinquent, Yankee delinquent
Like
aesthetic,
big old
pompadour,
pompadour.
the way he talks, the hot bloodedness. But you know,
Yeah,
he's also the one with the heart of gold because of course he is.
he's baby.
Yeah,
He's
he's
my
baby.
baby.
And this also leads to the fact that he also shacks up. Mitsunari also shacked up with Sakon, who we also like, who is smart, cool guy, got nice sideburns.
Yes.
He's neat,
Cool, cool old dude.
cool old dude.
Um,
Yeah, really, that is his personality, isn't it? Cool older guy.
good personality to have.
Hell yeah. Just need to mention really quick. He worked with like 5 factions, so
Yes. Sakon was like, he was getting that bag. He was doing a lot.
man was getting that bag so often. It's like, you know what? Good on him.
We respect the hustle.
Yeah. Um. We don't care about Kiyomasa, so we're not going to talk about him much. He exists.
Kiyomasa sucks.
He is serious McSerious man, and that's about all we're going to say.
He's stinky.
We are, on the other hand, going to have to talk about the two Toyotomi strategists, specifically Kanbei and Hanbei, who are those two guys.
Hanbei's fun. Hanbei's like very small and cute and like sickly. Though we learn later that Hanbei is dying.
Yeah.
But my favorite thing about Hanbei is that
He's,
he's a sassy little bastard.
he's a sleepy bastard who also is also, in turn, incredibly sassy.
Yes, he's a little smartass.
He's fun.
Yeah, he's good. And then you have Kanbei, who is scary.
Yeah, he's the scary one who dresses in dark colors, looks like death on purpose,
His weapon is a mysterious orb.
of dark, disturbing powers.
Kanbei's favorite pastime is sitting up contemplating the orb.
It's neat. They're neat. We like them. They're not. The tragedy of that is about Hanbei dying.
Yes.
Though eventually Hanbei is replaced in Kanbei's weird lack of friend circle with Kobayakawa Takakage, who was the son of Motonari Mori, spelled
Who
differently.
was another guy who is mostly known for fighting over control of Chigoku
Yeah, very small
and
amounts of
having
land, and eventually
and having a
allied.
shitload of kids.
Yeah, had a shitload of kids. Most of them died,
As was the fashion at the time.
as was the style at the time.
Infant mortality.
The Mori people are neat. They're eggheads. They're
They're
fun.
nerds.
They're fun nerds. Though Motonari is like, a relatively very nice guy. His son, Takakage, is a giant nerd. Very sweet boy.
Perfectly locker-sized.
Perfectly
I
locked.
say with all affection.
Easily shoved into a locker. And
So,
then, but on the other end, there is the final unifier, and that's Tokugawa Ieyasu, who is dad. And we don't,
and I
and we should, when we say dad, we don't mean that in like a sexy way.
he he wears socks with flip-flops.
He looks like somebody's dad.
He does.
If he wasn't short and round, he's very much a father to his men. And those men are as followed. Honda, Tadakatsu, the Lubu of this game.
He's the fuckinator 5000.
And unlike Lubu, he has self-control, so therefore he doesn't die early.
He has a single brain cell and he uses it.
Yeah, he has a brain cell, he uses it, and therefore, unlike Lubu, he's less interesting because he's not a giant screaming weirdo. But
And he's also a dad of a daughter.
Of a daughter who we like. Her name is Ina. She's neat.
Good girl. Married to Nobuyuki.
They have a nice marriage. Like historically, this political marriage went very well for both parties involved.
Ah.
Like quite literally, when Ina died, Nobuyuki's like, "My life sucks now. Sucks." Like quite literally, it's like the light of my life is gone. In fairness, he like outlived basically his entire family. I kind of get it.
Yeah, that does suck.
He died like at 95, and pretty much everyone he knew died before him. But hey, they were actually apparently very much in love, which is not what you could say about most of these actual couples. One of them got constantly cheated on. Nobunaga and No were whatever the fuck they were. Whatever the hell the beards were doing. So yeah, the fact that they were happily married is actually kind of rare. And not common for noble peoples. So yeah, good on them. Yeah, Ina's fun. She's very jockey like her father.
She uses a bow and arrow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, she's neat. The key other retainer for Ieyasu is Hanzo Hattori, or as we like to say, Hi Kiryu.
Nani?
Naughty. Yeah, Hanzo is voiced by the same guy who voices Kazuma Kiryu in Yakuza. It's very noticeable.
It's the same voice, basically.
Basically, yeah. He's neat. He's a ninja. He's a ninja.
Not a whole lot to him other than that.
And that's fine. The other, like, 3 ninjas in this game are all very weird, so...
Someone just one normal guy.
We need one... Every single point, you need one person who's not a fucking weirdo.
Yes.
And, the other one is... Oh... I'm gonna save her for a bit. Because we forgot to talk about Oichi.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Nobunaga also has a sister.
Her name's Oichi. Her life can be best described as bad things keep happening to you, and it's kind of not okay.
No, she had a husband. Her brother killed that husband because that husband rebelled, and she chose to take the husband's side.
Because she's nice that way.
She's a very nice girl.
She's presented here as the nice girl. Everyone loves her. That includes people who are way too old for her. Several.
Yes.
But, first husband dies. Nagamasa Asai dies. And it's like, well, that sucked. You two seem to actually like each other. That marriage failed.
Yep.
And then she gets married to Katsui of all people, which is weird.
Somehow.
Hey, I guess 5 was right when saying he was very fucky.
Yeah, I mean he kind of is.
Yeah, there you go. See?
Hmm.
He had 2 retainers, Takatoro Toto. He looks like a Cyborg 009 character.
He does.
Which, great reference visually, don't care much about him. He's not very
Like,
interesting.
he's a neat design, but just not really my cup of tea.
Yeah, then there's, uh,
Yoshitsugu
Yoshitsugu.
Otani.
Yeah, Otani. He's a leper.
The most handsome man with leprosy I've ever seen.
In fairness, you only see parts of his face, so we can't speak for his his lower jaw.
It'd be kind of cool if it was like,
It's just the parts you see are the pretty parts. The rest of it is disgusting. That's pretty cool. That's what it looks like. He looks gross except for the parts that he can show.
yeah, but he's kind of mysterious and weird, and
he's a very go with the flow, like Destiny type of guy. He's fine.
he's all right.
His daughter ended up marrying Yukimura Sanada in real life. That's neat.
That's right.
Kind of a very random thing here. That's them. That's the Azai people, real quick. They had Oichi and Nagamasa had a daughter named Chasha / Lady Yodo. She's important later. Much later.
She does not have a great life.
Yeah, but loses both of her parents, ends up marrying Hideyoshi, who's way too old for her. It's kind of gross the more you think about it. Don't think too hard on it; it gets worse.
Yeah, it's best not to think about it.
And yeah, those that characters. Now that we're done with that little cul-de-sac, we now have to talk about the E.
Yes, poor Naotora.
Okay, so if you've known us long enough, then you know that our feelings of Naotora have vastly evolved from her first appearance to now. After like 8-ish years, we've decided, actually, no, we like Naotora, just not the way she's treated by Koei Tecmo.
We can improve this.
We've decided mom core, because that's
Yes.
kind of what she is. Because she's
Give her a sweater.
She's a wilting flower, but when she's with her cousin / adoptive son, because she had no heirs when she was, she's famously the E were famously retainers to the Imagawa. Yoshimune Imagawa, who in this is not the one in 5, sadly. He here is a short, round man who likes to do things. And
he likes to kick ball.
He likes to kick ball and not much else. He famously died, thrusting Nobunaga into suddenly being the actually neat. Whoops. You get portrayed as a loser when the most famous thing you do is die at the most important battle of your life, the one you were supposed to win, that you failed miserably. Oops. Then they get swallowed up by the Tokugawa. But now Tora's father dies also at Okozama, and suddenly he had no son, so she's like, uh-oh, I'm suddenly in charge. Yeah. And here's the thing. I know some people have complained in the past that why can't she be like the one boss her? Well, first off, Capcom would probably sue.
They probably would.
And also, the problem is, by the point now Tora showed up, Jinchio already exists, so that's like already a slot taken. You can't...
Yeah.
So they decided to make her a wilting flower. Not a problem. And it makes sense. She's suddenly, like, a young person put into a position of power, and she's like, oh, shit, I wasn't trained for this.
The issue is that it's just, she's handled with a very male gaze kind of,
The best way to put it is that she is presented as waifu bait.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem with that is that the game is not subtle about it.
It's not. It's kind of gross the way it goes about it.
Yeah, and it's a shame because other than that, she's not a bad character. She's mostly
No.
like the downside is that she was presented as this very like there's all these things they did with her and it's not any of the good thing then what they actually did was none of the good things they could have done.
Yep.
We've
It
decided
used
that she should have a nice comfy sweater and sweatpants and drink hot cocoa.
I think that's a lovely idea.
I agree. She has her very standoffish cousin slash son Naomasa.
Sunzen.
I mean, he's her uncle's son who was adopted as part of the main branch of the family so that it could keep going.
Complicated.
It's not. It's complicated. It's power politics all the way down.
He's a moody young man.
He's a moody young man. He's shipped with Toyohisa all the time.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that's all you really need to know about him. He's fine. I've grown to like him over time.
You know, he's grown on me.
He's grown on me because he's like all these like Tokugawa retainers are all like, we're all doing this for the greater good, family. And he's like,
Family.
ugh. You're all ugh. And it's so much funnier because also all of his interactions with Naotora are nice, and I like those.
He's very sweet to Naotora.
It's like, you're like my big sister caretaker thing.
He's cute.
And you call me by my embarrassing name, please stop. It's like, no. I will not. And it's great.
She never will.
And then there's Munenori, Yagyu. You know his son more than you know him.
Works for Hisahide for a little bit. Really good with sword. Has a pet monkey.
Big jock. He's neat. Moving on. Not a lot to say about him. We think he's neat. He's like
just
he's a
guy.
potato that we held up and go, I think he's neat.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Doesn't do a whole lot of super interesting things. Just kind of keeps showing up.
Yeah.
Let's see. Who else is left to cover? Oh god, there's so many characters. Let's see. We covered all the Oda. We covered all the Tokugawa. I guess it doesn't.
I think that's kind of like the main cast.
Yeah, and then there's everyone else. We didn't really cover the Hojo. We mentioned what they are, but we didn't really talk about them. So we might as well cover them very fast because this is our longest episode to date. We'll never go to 3 hours, everybody. That's my one promise. So let's.
But we like the Hojo.
Yeah, we have to do other things. So real quick, Hojo, Uechiyasu, he is dead. He looks like Solid Snake.
He does. Blonde Solid Snake.
Okay, but specifically Big Boss Solid Snake.
Yes.
Because he's dad.
Yes.
They have a ninja. His name's Kotaro. He likes dogs, and he's a juggalo. And he talks about chaos all the time. He's very He's Stretch Armstrong.
He is. He's a freak.
Yeah. Then there's his daughter, Hayakawa. She's a sweetheart.
She plays lacrosse.
It's not actually lacrosse, but I don't know the actual name of it. We would say more about her, but she's only been in one game.
Yeah, not a whole lot going on there.
Then there's Kai. She's my favorite. She's the best girl here. Anyone who argues with me will die on sight.
She's beautiful and she wrestles bears.
She deserves happiness. She doesn't really get it.
Yes.
She's very pretty. I mean, everyone here is very pretty unless they're not meant to be. Point is, there's a lot of characters. We like all of them. And one of these days, the part 2 of this podcast would be us talking about our insane ideas about them. Yes, this is a part 1. I feel like that's fair to say.
So.
Yeah. So yeah, sorry, this is suddenly 2 hours long. We warned you. Last time we warned you, like, the Samurai Warriors version of this was going to get real bad. And we decided,
And here we are.
here we are. We haven't even really covered all the things we wanted to talk about. We might do this next week for a part 2 to get it out of the way. Maybe. I don't know.
We got MILF Manor next week, but after
Oh,
that.
right. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, coming attraction, we're going to have a special guest next week.
Yes, my good friend Kimmy.
Kimmy's going to be here to talk about MILF Manor because I never actually seen it. I'm just going to get this inflicted upon my person.
You get to hear it all secondhand.
Yeah, I will be here to keep the conversation going, and we promise that it won't be 2 hours. I think. Maybe.
Yes, but I guess in conclusion, we like Samurai Warriors.
If we weren't busy after this, we would just did what we did last time we talked about Samurai Warriors and just start playing it and talk for another like 5 hours.
Yes.
Sadly, we have things to do today.
Yeah.
We might do it later. It's not out of the question.
It's been fun talking about this. I'm Sardo. You can find me over on Twitter at Autopsy Garlands, on Twitch at Uncle Death. I am streaming on Mondays now.
I'll
doing
be there
streams.
this coming Monday because I have nothing else better to do.
Yeah. And that's Stross. You can find Stross at Almighty Stross across the board, mostly on Twitch, but all across the board, all the social media.
I recently tweeted about how wrestling fans have the best sports takes because they don't get caught up in the bullshit.
It's very true.
But anyway, you can also find this podcast now on stuff like RSS feed and Spotify, and not just on YouTube. But YouTube gets the better art.
Everywhere.
I don't know what the art's going to be for this one, but I know it's going to be weird.
Yes, it's going to be good.
It's going to be good. With that said, everyone, thank you all for coming. This is the Skeleton Crew podcast. We love it when you listen to our podcast, like, comment, subscribe, or you can send us emails.
Yeah.
Skeleton Crew podcast at gmail.com. You can submit stuff if you want. Or you can
we're open to ideas.
Or submit to us directly. We're not that. If you know where we are, you can submit stuff to us directly. Point is, thank you all for listening. We have to go do other things now. Because usually we record this later at night, so when we have zero obligations. But today, we had to do it earlier.
They are very obligation-filled days this day.
Yeah, I had to go to the bank today.
That is a heavy obligation.
Yeah. And this time it actually worked out. So everybody, thank you all for coming. We will see you all next time. And don't eat the yellow snow. Yeah. I know it's summertime, but if you're somehow surrounded by snow, don't eat the yellow ones. Unless you did it yourself with like a snow cone.
That's true.
You can have the yellow snow cone because it's probably pineapple flavored or lemon.
Both is good.
I'm not sure about it at the same time though. Yeah. A bit too much citrus.
Either way, good night, everybody.
Good night.